colleague of mine from the NFL Network. I haven't gotten there just yet, but my man is going to make sure I get there one of these days. Good friend of mine who is going to pay up on a bet, get back home or get back to Kansas City once the Chiefs win this weekend. My good friend, look, you hear him on Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock on the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. But, of course, you can also see him over the weekend this week on the NFL Network, and he also writes for NFL.com. My good friend, Mr. Jeffri Chadiha. Jeff, happy Super Bowl week to you, my friend.
Yeah, same to you, man. It doesn't feel like Super Bowl week, but, you do it both times, right?
Yeah, that is true. So now I'm going to egg you on just a little bit because one, I've already paid off my debt to you earlier. This football
what was that for
season.
again? What was that for?
That was for the Chiefs not going 19-0, and trust me, I'm going to have issues with them when they win Sunday. I'm going to be like, yeah, y'all could have gone 19-0. But that being the case, who was your original Super Bowl team or your prediction going into the season?
I think I had Ravens Saints.
Ravens Saints. So you were wrong. No,
I'm pretty sure it was Ravens Saints, but I can't remember. You make so many predictions, it's hard to. But I'm pretty sure I went with those two.
Now, because I know you like to egg me on. What teams did I predict for the Super Bowl by chance?
You gotta tell me. I know one was the Chiefs.
Oh no, you didn't. You not picked Chiefs and the Bucks, man. You
did?
Yeah,
you picked okay, all right.
Man,
good for you.
Look, you finna get a text message from me because hey, I got receipts, my friend. But all that being said, what are your outlooks in Sunday's game? Like, how do you think? Because I know you saw the Chiefs play the Bucks first time around November 29th when they won 27-24. To me, in that particular game, the Chiefs obviously let their foot off the gas where they should have been up 28-0, I think, after the first quarter early on in the game. They did some stuff that was a little bit too cute for me. Patrick trying to catch the touchdown pass on the 1 yard line and allowing Tampa Bay to come back in the game where the game's more close than what it truly was. But what do you see being the difference the second time around between these two teams?
I think it was a pretty close game at the end, if I remember correctly. Didn't they need a converted first down to?
Well, yeah, it was 27-24, but yeah.
Okay,
but the Chiefs were never in any real threat of losing that game.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I never really get the whole Chiefs letting the foot off the gas theory, but it seems to me that the difference in this game is the offensive line. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz not playing in this game, which the Chiefs have never gone into a game with both those guys out. They missed one or the other. And look, Tampa Bay is a much improved team since week 12. Their pass rush is legit. You saw that in that game because a strip sack by, I believe it was Shaq Barrett, kind of helped them get back into that game. So, as much as we talk about the quarterbacks and the offense, and that's always going to be a big aspect of any football game, usually these kind of games get decided by what happens in the trenches.
Yeah, and speaking of that, look, I've been a big proponent throughout the playoffs that for the Chiefs, and now when you look at it for the Tampa Bay Bucks as well, everything's going to start up front. Both defensive lines, they have to make an impact against the team's offensive line for them to really have any chance. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, if you can get the rush with him to, with maybe 3 or 4 players, allows you maybe to drop back more players if you can get to him with that. But I'm also, again, on the other side, if you're not hearing Frank Clark or Chris Jones's name being called first half of the game, then to me that means Tom Brady's having too much time in the pocket because he's not feeling the heat from Chris Jones or Frank Clark. Your thoughts on that?
That's true. It's all true. I mean, you look at the Bucs end of it, they need to find a way to get to Mahomes without blitzing. You saw what happened when they tried to blitz some, and they really – I think in that first game, but they didn't really realize how fast the Chiefs really were, especially a guy like Tyreek Hill. I think that speed caught them off guard, certainly in the first quarter of that game. But they've got to find a way to get to him with 4 pass rushers. That's the formula that everybody's used when they've had success against him. Chargers, for example, the Patriots, even the Falcons at the end of the season, we're doing that and finding ways to make that work. So you can't – it's been proven time and again that if you try to blitz him, he's going to cause you problems. And the Buccaneers have a legit pass rush with – I mentioned Shaq Barrett, but Jason Pierre-Paul. And And Dominic Sue and Vita Vea are going to be two tough guys in the middle because they can create pressure on the interior. On the flip side of it, yeah, I mean, Frank Clark and Chris Jones have to have monster games in this game. They didn't have a lot of success getting to Brady without blitzing last time around, and the pass rush wasn't what we thought it was going to be with those two guys compared to what's been in years past. But this is the kind of game where you got to step up and really make your name, because the key to beating a guy like Brady is getting him off his spot, getting him rattled. And if you blitz him too much at some point, just like with Patrick, you're going to get burned by that.
I'm curious because we saw Brady do things in the Packers game that we don't normally see him do. One, they were up by a couple of scores, but I don't want to say he was trying to go for the jugular early or whatever. But he was throwing deep bombs that ended up being intercepted. Do you see Brady doing the same thing this time around if the opportunity presents itself?
Well, they're aggressive. I mean, you go back to the comment you made a second ago about the Chiefs letting the foot off the gas. That's what kind of happens when you don't. When you keep being aggressive, at some point that aggression can get the better of you. But, generally, I think they like the matchups they saw against the Packers in those situations. And you're going to throw picks. You're going to have turnovers. But in a game like this, knowing who they're going against, I'm sure the Bucs are very aware of they cannot give the Chiefs multiple possessions. When you're up 28-10 in a game, it's different. You're trying to make plays down the field. But if it's a tight game, you do not want to be playing, making big mistakes against a team like Kansas City.
You've got an offense of, well, look, we talk ad nauseum throughout the year about the Chiefs offense, but the Bucs offense really, they didn't sneeze at as well. Tom Brady knew what he was doing when he decided to go to Tampa Bay. You got two wide receivers, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, that were Pro Bowl receivers last year. You bring in Antonio Brown. We don't know what his plan status is going into Sunday's game. I do think that he will play at the end just because of the magnitude of the game. But then, of course, you talked about there earlier. You got the running backs with Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, and then even LaShawn McCoy if he somehow finds his way to the field. Talk about how explosive this offense could be. If Brady has everything clicking and the Chiefs aren't careful defensively.
Well, you've seen what's happened over the last 7 games. I mean, they've been averaging like 36, 37 points a game. And again, you go back to week 12, you see the big difference between them now and today, between them then and now, is just that I think they understand their roles better. I think back in week 12, there was seemed to be a lot of confusion about who was going to be the go-to guys and how certain guys were going to fit in. Antonio Brown had only been there for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks by that point. Now I watch them play, and I feel like it's very consistent. They're going to go to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, middle of the field. They're going to go to Gronkowski and Evans and Cameron Brate in the red zone. They're going to go deep to Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown, and they're going to use Fournette and Ronald Jones a lot more. You go back to that first game, I don't even know how much. I think probably between Fournette and Ronald Jones, they probably had 10 carries total. Yeah. And some of that is the game got out of hand early. Right. But it's also, you go back to previous games, they weren't running the ball like that. And they certainly made a commitment to running it more, which allows Brady to do the things he does well, which is play action, which is they've got more motion now, which allows them to read defenses pre-snap, things they weren't doing. And you're seeing how that's affecting the entire offense's production.
I know we cover the Chiefs respectively, and I know you cover the league as well. X factor in the game if you're Tampa Bay to try to beat Kansas City, in your opinion?
Leonard Fournette. I mean, if they're able to run the ball consistently with him, actually, I'd probably say Fournette and Jones because they're a combination, they're a combo. But if they're able to get their run game going early, which I suspect they will try to do, I suspect this game will look a lot like the Patriots-Chiefs AFC Championship game in 2018, where the Patriots wanted to come out, really establish things on the ground, control the clock. Time possession was really way out of whack for them in the last game these two teams played. It was 37-23, I believe. Yep. And so the Bucs are going to have a chance to win this game. They can't lose a turnover battle. They can't lose time of possession, and they've got to find a way to pressure Patrick Mahomes. Like those 3 things in any order you want to pick are the keys to them winning this game.
And for Kansas City, your thoughts?
I think for Kansas City, it's being able to deal with a makeshift offensive line against that pass rush. It's being able to create opportunities for Kelsey and Hill because they're going to see a lot of double coverage. When you have when you lose 2 tackles, it changes the math on how you can attack. The Chiefs want to be able to get 5 guys into pass patterns. You can't really do that if you've got a pass rush like this coming at you in a weakened offensive line. So you're going to see more back staying in, Kelsey staying in more to block before he goes out in the route. So they're going to have to find a way to deal with that pass rush. They're going to have to find a way to get Chris Jones and Frank Clark going. And they're going to have to find a way to, I guess, what's the best way to say it? They're going to have to find a way to avoid that sense of entitlement that comes with being a defending champion. A lot of teams get back here and they feel like, oh, we know what happens in this game. We know how to do it because we've been here before. And if you forget, a year ago, they hadn't been here before. So this is a different kind of week because of COVID and the distractions aren't there. So I think both teams are going to be really focused coming in, and that edge you usually get from being here won't be as big as it usually is.
Before I get you out of, my friend, your prediction on Sunday's game, especially since you didn't have either one of these teams playing.
Well, you know, I've been consistent taking the Bucks. I like the Bucks 31-30. I think
Jeff, you do this to me all the time. Now.
Let me say this. You tell me the next time you pick the Chiefs to win, and we'll have a different conversation.
Well,
I feel like picking against Tom Brady in a game, as good as the Chiefs are, as good as Mahomes is, and will continue to be, picking against Tom Brady in this game is something I can't bring myself to do. I've seen it too many times. I think being the underdog, being the team that's not talked about that much, being a team that's lost before, you see how they played in Green Bay. You see how they played against New Orleans, a team that beat them twice. They're playing at home. It feels like a Tom Brady story to me. It feels like a Tom Brady narrative. It feels like Peyton Manning versus the Panthers and John Elway versus the Packers. Old quarterback versus young gun, stud quarterback. So I think that's why I'm going Bucks.
So, Jeff, I got to ask you, do you want to go double or nothing on our bet or what?
What do you mean double nothing? We already got the bet.
Well, hold on. Hey, well, look.
I mean, the bet was, will the Chiefs repeat? And so we're still having that same bet. Like, we've got one game left to go see if they repeat or not.
That's fine. That's fine. So look, when I get home next week, trust and believe. You just make sure that NFL Network check cash because we gonna be eating good. At least I am.
All right. Like I said, what I just say about the Chiefs feeling entitled. Don't count chickens before they hatch, my man.
I know. Hey, I hope
they win. I hope they do win because I want my kid to be happy and my friends, my girlfriend. There's plenty of people I want to see happy. For me, it's a win-win situation. So if they win, you'll be happy. I'll be happy for you. But if they lose, you won't be happy for me. See that?
It's gonna cost me twice in the same season. Okay. Jeff, before I let you get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you and follow your work, please.
NFL Network, NFL.com. I'm on Twitter at Jeffri, Jeffri Chadiha, and I'm on Instagram too. So all those different places you can find me.
Jeffri Chadiha, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you when you get down here in Tampa this weekend. Safe travels to and fro, and we'll settle up the bet one way or the other when we get back.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good, my man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the ship. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with Darren and Sterling on ESPN Kansas City. We'll have New York Jets two-time Super Bowl champion Leonard Fournette on the show. So we'll be back after